Hi guys, we are discussing the book Reclaiming Hindu Temples by Dr. Chandni Sengupta, and in this video we get into the topic of destruction of Hindu and Buddhist temples in the context of the Arab conquest of Sindh. The landscape of Sindh was marked by temples and monasteries on the eve of the Arab conquest. Chinese traveler Huan, who visited Sindh, provided an account of 273 Hindu temples in Sindh. Let me underline this because let's see if we can find 273 Hindu temples in Sindh today. Where did they disappear? He mentioned the Sun Temple in Multan, 37 intersectarian temples and 235 Shaivite temples. A renowned Shiva temple existed in Debul. The temple was known for its rich sculpture. Persian traveler Al-Biruni has also mentioned the existence of Shiva temples in Sindh with linga worship as an important religious ritual. The temple was destroyed during the Arab invasion of Sindh. According to Kitab Futu al-Buldan, the passage says, Dahir's governor fled from the place, but the custodians of the house of their gods were killed. So the Brahmins who were in charge of the pujas, obviously, they were the custodians of the house of their gods. Muhammad marked out a quarter for the Muslims, built a mosque and settled 4,000 colonists there. The destruction of the Shiva temple, slaughter of the temple priests and construction of a mosque at Debul. I wonder if it's still there. Construction of a mosque at Debul lends credence to the argument that the Muslim marauders from Arabia were indeed zealots and iconoclasts who had invaded Bharat with the prime motive of spreading Islam. The Sun Temple at Multan was a place of great reverence for the Hindus of the region. Huan described the Sun Temple at Multan in his travelogue. He says, There is a temple dedicated to the sun, very magnificent and profusely decorated. The image of the Sun Dev is cast in yellow and gold and ornamented with rare gems. Its divine insight is mysteriously manifested and its spiritual power made plain to all. Women play their music, light their torches, offer their flowers and perfumes to honor it. The kings and high families of the 5 Indies never fail to make their offerings of gems and precious stones to this Dev. They have founded a house of mercy in which they provide food and drink and medicines for the poor and sick, affording succor, S-U-C-C-O-U-R, succor and sustenance. Men from all countries come here to offer up their prayers. There are always some thousands doing so. Huan 274-75. Kitab Futu al-Buldan has also described the Sun Temple at Multan. It states that it was a shrine to which valuable offerings were given and to which vows were paid and to which the people of Al-Sindh made pilgrimages. They made the circuit of it and shaved their heads and beards there. Kitab Futu al-Buldan 218. All the contemporary chroniclers as well as the chroniclers of a later period mention this temple in their accounts, thereby implying the significance of this temple in the lives of the Hindus of the region. This temple was broken to pieces by the Arab marauders. Chachnama describes a conversation Muhammad bin Qasim had with a Brahmin who described the temple at Multan to the Arab invader. According to the author of the text, the invader was curious to see the idol, and when he went to the site of the temple, he took the idol and all the precious gems and metals which were attached to the idol. Chachnama says, Muhammad Qasim arose and with his counselors, guards and attendants went to the temple. He saw there an idol made of gold, and its 2 eyes were bright red rubies. Muhammad Qasim thought it might perhaps be a man, so he drew his sword to strike it. The text further goes on to mention that the invader could not destroy the idol by his sword because it was too heavy and strong, and Muhammad bin Qasim ultimately ordered the idol to be taken up from its place. A lot of wealth was obtained from this temple, and the idol and gold were deposited in this treasury. Al-Biruni in his account has mentioned the name Aditya for the idol of Surya Dev which was worshipped in Multan. The chronicler has also mentioned the destruction unleashed on the temple by the Arabs. According to Al-Biruni, quote, lastly, they used to visit Multan before its idol temple was destroyed, unquote. Al-Biruni's India, page 148. The Buddhist temples also meet the same fate, though there is significant doubt about the nature of these temples. They might have been Hindu temples which were mistaken to be Buddhist by the chroniclers. The word Buddh used in sources has been misinterpreted as Buddhist, whereas it actually meant Buddh or idol. And that is why Sikandar Butshikan is the name for Shamiri and the people who destroyed the temples in Kashmir. And selling of idols was called Buth Faroshi, and Buth Shikni was a process of destroying the idols. So Buth was always idol. Sources mention a beautiful Buddhist temple in the city of Debul. Kitab Futu al-Buldan has provided an account of this temple and its subsequent destruction. The author of the text states that the yard arm, which was on the minaret of the Buddha, was broken, and the top of the minaret was torn down. The stones from the temple were used for reconstructing the city. Kitab Futu al-Buldan, page 222. The destruction of the Buddhist temple described in the text corresponds to the destruction of the Shiva temple of Debul mentioned in other texts. It is therefore likely that due to a sheer ignorance or disinterest in knowing the finer nuances of other religions, the author could not distinguish a Hindu temple from a Buddhist one. But whatever the nature of the temple, the fact remains that it was destroyed and razed to the ground by the bigoted Muslim invaders. In conclusion, the Arab conquest of Sindh was not the first time that the Islamic invaders had set foot on Indian soil, but it was the most significant in terms of the magnitude of destruction brought about by the forces of Muhammad bin Qasim. Many historians have tried to assess this invasion as part of the larger goals of territorial conquests which the Caliphate dreamed of. However, what is certain is that this dream was accompanied by the zeal to convert people to Islam. Territorial conquests ordered by the Caliphate were always associated with the larger plan of establishing the Muhammadan faith. The Arab conquest of Sindh was no different. It was an attempt at conquering Sindh in order to bring it under the Islamic fold. There are several anomalies in the history writing of this period which need to be addressed, and this conquest is a starting point to counter the misinterpretations.